Okay, we're now looking for export and import information associated with our commodity code. We've opened all headings. If I hover over these top two other headings, nothing happens. Notice these two other headings do not have a full commodity code on the right-hand side, over here. On the other hand, if we hover over anything that does indeed have a full commodity code, we get a highlight on that row. Perhaps something might happen if we click a highlighted row. Which one? Telescopic shaft. Let's click that. We are transported to the commodity information for our code, 6601910000 in this case. We see the tariff date just under the commodity title. The 1st of November, 2019. We see a link to change that date. I'm guessing this allows us to retrieve data for our code from another date. Useful, but let's not do that right now. Instead, let's look at what's on offer with regard to help. Get guidance on this product area. Classification of goods. This link opens the guidance. Finding commodity codes for imports into or exports out of the EU. This page is also available from the HMRC guidance we briefly looked at previously called using the trade tariff tool to find a commodity code. So, finding commodity codes for imports into or exports out of the EU. What's on this page? We see you'll need a commodity code to make your customs declaration. It's also important to classify your goods correctly by finding the correct commodity code in order to get information on duty, any applicable licensing requirements, whether or not your goods come under common agricultural policy requirements, anti-dumping duties, or whether any tariff quotas are available for these goods. We look at tariff quotas later. For now, we see that this page mainly provides help with goods and products that are hard to classify. Aircraft parts, audio and video. Some edibles. Pharmaceutical products. And so on and so forth. We see help with using the trade tariff tool there also. Split consignments. Getting help with difficult classifications. Informal and formal advice. Just in case you want to find this page, we see the link here as https://www.gov.uk/guidance/finding commodity codes for imports or exports. Okay, let's close out of here. Under classification of goods. We see a link, discuss this chapter in the forums. It goes to the UK Tariff Forum. You can get lots of help there, for all sorts, hard to classify goods and most other things we saw on that help page I should imagine. So, scrolling down. We notice that two charges apply to importing umbrellas. A 20% VAT charge. Also, currently, when importing from outside the EU, a third country import duty of 4.70% is charged. Just below that, we see, when either importing or exporting our umbrellas, measures and restrictions apply. Some of these measures may alter the VAT or duty on our movement of goods across the customs border. This is useful information, which might even affect from where we decide to import. If there are any restrictions placed on our imports or exports, we need to know that information also. We can also notice that the import code has 2 more zeros on the end, compared to the export code over here. Interesting. Let's look at the measures that apply when importing first. Click Import. We are on the page for import measures and restrictions. We see a listing called Measures for all countries. It seems to me that measures are a composite of different pieces of information, given here as the column headings. So, looking at each in turn. Country. What goes here? Either an individual country, or a label or a phrase, representing a grouping, i.e. 2 or more countries. We can expand any particular group, using the little drop arrow. All countries in this column may be targeted by the measure. Measure. This identifies the nature of the measure or restriction. Usually measures set either duties, or VAT. However, as we will see later, they can be used to restrict goods. Value. This is the value set by the measure or restriction. Notice most of these are given as percentage figures. Looking at measure and value columns together, we see whether the measure is a duty, tariff preference, or VAT charge. The figure in the value column tells us how much will be charged. Specifically, the charge will be the given percentage of the value of the goods. Tariff preferences are actual duties that have been lowered or even reduced to 0% for one reason or another. Conditions that apply. How does this work? For example, certain measures require conditions to be met in order to take effect. An example of such a condition might be where documentary proofs or certificates need to be produced in order for the measure to have effect. The same might apply to restrictions. Exclusions. Exclusions display exceptions set for a measure or restriction. For example, a measure might have the country column set to a label, representing a group of countries. In this case, the exclusions column specifies which of those countries in the group, if any, are excluded from the measure or restriction. Legal base. All measures or restrictions must be taken from the applicable trade agreement, or some other form of legal document. As such, this column provides links to those agreements and regulations, upon which the associated measure or restriction is based. Start date, end date. This column can hold 2 dates per row. The first date must be included, and it is the date when the measure takes effect. The second date is given in parenthesis and sets the date when the measure is due to terminate. Hardly any of these measures are set with an end date, so I guess end dates can be added if they are required. Footnotes. Footnotes are made up of a code and a description. They are used to attach pertinent details, in the form of free text, to the measure or restriction. We will touch on tariff preferences, conditions and footnotes, and restrictive measures again, when we delve into legal base, in order to further discuss trade agreements.